It's the off season. We got more workout clips from some of your favorite players. An interesting group of wide receivers. Rookie wide receiver Xavier Legette. We also got Tank Dell. And we got Rashi Rice. We're going to watch them work out on a quick clip. We're going to loop it, talk some ball on them. But before we begin, you need to click that subscribe button right now. We're going hard in the paint, looking at these rookies every single day this off season. Rookie camp, mini camp, training camp, everything in between. It's all right here on top of your favorite veterans. Click that button. See what these players are doing behind the scenes. Quick workout video here. This was prior to minicamp and OTAs. I've actually been sitting on this a bit. Just so many clips from OTAs and minicamp, and I'm still getting them out. We're looking at Tank Dell, Rashi Rice, Xavier Legette. A minute of footage here. Let's see it happening. Them catching balls. It's cut up. But again, you're looking at Xavier Legette. He moves very well for size. There's Rashi Rice. There's Tank Dell. I think Xavier Legette, a wide receiver of his stature, a wide receiver that wasn't really asked to run a full route tree, who showed more at the Senior Bowl, working with a guy like Tank Dell, learning from him. And same for Rashi, learning from Tank Dell. Tank Dell's a very good wide receiver. Rashi Rice's good in his own right. But the mix of these three, just working out together, it makes a lot of sense. Young wide receivers here, just trying to get better every single day. They're both very sudden, good athletes. Thinking about Xavier Legette, though, the rookie, the raw prospect with tons of upside, putting in that work. We had some hiccups in camp with some slight injuries, but this guy's got speed to burn. How can he win on the field? A lot of people will look at just fantasy football, but you need to reverse engineer this. How can he be helpful for the Carolina Panthers early in his career? How could that happen? Because right now, Diontae Johnson's going to be the guy. You got Adam Thielen right now. They picked up JT Sanders, too, in the draft. Don't forget about him. You also got Jonathan Brooks. They got some pieces here. But a lot of people look at the upside for fantasy football, but they don't really reverse engineer that. How can he help the Panthers right now instantly? How can he flash talent on the field? What I think, how he can do that size, just athleticism, that speed. How can it implement this? It's been noted. Drag routes around the middle. Allow him to get yards after the catch. Allow him to use that size. And then also use that for deep balls too. Because, of course, you see that 4.3 speed at that size. You want to use that for deep balls. But, man, you get him across the middle. You get him with space. You run some mesh. And this guy is going to be able to get you chunks of yards. And then as he develops from there, could be a big play machine. Could be a guy being something for you. And a lot of people question the draft pick of Xavier Legette. And I really sat and thought things through, put myself in the Panthers' shoes here, and analyzing this wide receiver class as a macro perspective, because this class was so deep. We're talking about 20 wide receivers, day 2 grades or better. It's so deep. Some fell to day 3. Some got drafted higher than you thought. Some went to some interesting spots. A lot of these wide receivers went to their optimum location here. But when I think about the Panthers, and it's been noted by Canals, and he said that, he's going to be saying this in one of the documentary videos coming up, because it was highlighted on social media, that his size adjusted athleticism for the wide receiver spot, you just don't see every day. What that indicates to me is you already got your separator with Diontae Johnson. You got your smaller wide receiver, your normal sized wide receiver for these days, running all the routes, creating separation. You also need something different on the other end. Andy's formerly from Seattle. He had DK Metcalf. Probably wants something similar to that size-speed ratio. Although very different players. Could be used in some different ways, though, that could allow him to be productive. I think when you look at a player like this, you're looking at very boom-bust. But when you're looking at that part of the draft, early second round, mid-second round, early third round, do you want a wide receiver who's just good, that'll get you ho-hum production, maybe be valued around wide receiver 30 throughout their career and be okay, like be good on the pick? Or do you want a cornerstone player, and those players usually get drafted higher, Do you take that gamble and chase that boom or the bust player, and maybe you miss here, but if you hit here, you got a cornerstone player that you got for years, because his upside's there with that, with his size-adjusted athleticism, with his speed. Not many wide receivers come out with that. That's what I'm seeing when I put myself in their shoes. And when I look at the macro perspective of wide receivers coming out from the high school level, going into the college level and on through that, the pool's getting deeper. You're getting more nuanced route runners. Those wide receivers are going to be easier to find in the draft. But a guy of his stature and his size, like, he probably was not going to be on the board much longer. There must have been some indicators of that. They picked him up. They're going to roll with him. And they'll probably pick up more wide receivers. They're building around Bryce Young. Tank Dell. Let's talk about Tank Dell. Stud wide receiver. The price went down a little bit in Dynasty Fantasy Football due to Stephon Diggs. But it didn't really go down. It just went less liquid. Because the price stalemate's there. Like, I'm not selling Tank Dell off the injury after what I just saw him being a young asset. Like, people see these moves and they think buy, sell instantly. A lot of times it just indicates the liquidity from league to league. That player is being sold a lot less or something. Rashi Rice, similar note there. But he's been killing it in camp. That's what I've been reading. He's been killing it in camp. I read more about camp on these teams than most people because the proof's in the pudding with the clips I bring out. He's killing it in camp, especially those last few days. Made some big plays, looking more sudden, strong at the catch point. What I want from Rashi Rice this year, which it really isn't his fault, it's just how the offense was implemented. I want deeper targets downfield. We were saying this in season. We were like, man, this could be a guy that could be a top-tier wide receiver production-wise in the NFL if he got deeper targets. May not happen. Hollywood Brown would probably soak those up. I don't know about Xavier Worthy, if they're going to use him more and shorter and get yak, but he's probably going to be pushed downfield too, especially once he gets more acclimated. But again, this guy, what we saw at SMU, excels getting downfield, excels at the catch points. That's what we're seeing. He's also very assertive, very aggressive. Very aggressive while the ball's in the air and can box out defenders. I like him for that. He's in a great offense for that. And this is a great spot for him to really develop his skill set. What happened this offseason, very unfortunate. Might cost him down the road contract-wise. May not. Really, maybe it helped him. Maybe it says, hey, you got to get your stuff together. You got to put it together in camp now. You got to put it together. You got to put all the burners on the stove when you cook. Not just to cook the meal. You got to put them all on. Make sure everything's nice and hot. Maybe that is. Maybe we got to look at all perspectives. Maybe I need to start doing that. Maybe that happens because that is happening right now in camp. Whether that's the reason why or not, he is heating up. Rashi Rice is heating up. Xavier Legette has immense upside. Volatile profile when you look at production. Age, all that stuff from the advanced metrics. But when you look at the athletic metrics, draft capital, you got the top end part of the volatility. When I say volatile, don't look at this or this. Because like I've been saying, people look at one side or the other when I say that. And I'm talking about both. I'm always trying to be in the middle of players. I like Tank Dell a lot. I like him a lot. I can't really say much more. Very sudden, very productive wide receiver. Already broke out as a rookie, in my opinion. I think he's only going to get better. I'm not worried about Stephon Diggs. I love Nico Collins. I love this Texans team. And I can't wait to watch them this season. And a very interesting batch of wide receivers. Imagine Xavier Legette talking to Rashi Rice about the accident with his accent. Like, what the hell? Like mumbling to him. I bet you it was an interesting conversation. I bet Legette's very fun to hang out with. I would love to be able to hang out with him. He's probably one of the players in the league. I was about to say few, but there's probably a million of them. Well, there's not even a million, but a ton of them that I would love to hang out with. But I imagine he'd be one of the funnest players to hang out with. I think he'd be cool. I bet he'd be one of the coolest dudes in the league to hang out with. I bet so. I like Xavier Legette a lot. But imagine he said something funny to Rashi Rice. I bet he did. Because he's straight up. Which I admire about him. I like Xavier Legette as a person. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Be sure to hit that subscribe button on the way out. One, thank you for watching. Catch you on the next video.